Hi, I'm Pawan and I'm presenting a project on behalf of our team, which is me and Maitri Shah. Our project is a development track project on accessibility of MOOC education for persons with disabilities. Here is a brief introduction to the problem. The American Community Survey estimates that around 10 to 15% of the overall population in US is affected by some type of disability. 51% of the people with disabilities are in the working age of 18 to 64. As this chart shows, the rate of employment among people with disabilities is significantly lower compared to the general population with no disability. In fact, in the past 8 years, the gap has been widening according to the ACS. This can be attributed to lack of access to quality education for people with disability. Most of the people with disability find it hard to commute to classes or to relocate to a city which has good universities. MOOC format of education is an important step in getting quality education to the disabled. However, even in mainstream MOOC content, classes are not really accessible for people with disabilities as they are not actually tailored keeping disabilities in mind. For the scope of this class, we are considering a subset of disabilities such as partial visual impairment, hearing disability, locomotor disability. The existing solutions for making online content accessible to these type of disabilities include screen enlargement hardware to assist people with partial vision impairment. So there are many solutions in the market for screen enlargements, but most of them are expensive and hence are not accessible to many people who reside in developing world. Hearing impaired people are assisted by subtitles in the videos. Any MOOC content that does not have subtitles or closed captions is not accessible to people with hearing disability. People with locomotor disability find it hard to use pointing devices such as mouse. Most of the MOOC websites need the user to use mouse to browse the content, to answer the quizzes, access resource files, etc. This renders a lot of MOOC content inaccessible to people with disabilities. The goal of our project is to build a single web-based utility that presents MOOC-type content to people with different types of disability. We attempt to achieve this using a software-only approach. Since it's software-only and it's web-based, there is no dependency on the underlying platform, and it can be very cheap. So here are the components involved in our development track project. There's a persona selection entity which is responsible for getting the type of disability from the user. Once the user enters the type of disability, we switch to the corresponding module for the type of disability. For example, the subtitle extractor is responsible for displaying the subtitles to the user who is impacted by hearing disability. Magnification entity is responsible for rendering the content to partial visually disabled individuals by magnifying the video content to the user. Keyboard access entity is for removing the dependency on mouse so that locomotive disabled people can access the content without a user pointing device such as mouse. And then there's a content presenter which interacts with all the modules and presents the content throughout the session to the user. We'll be doing a short demo of the project. So here is the landing page of our project. The user first enters an email ID and a password. For this project, we have not implemented an authentication. So if you want to try it out, just enter random email IDs and passwords. After entering the email ID and password, the user selects a type of disability and says sign in. So when the user signs in, he's taken to a page that contains a course. This page is for visual disability. Yeah, as you can see, the content is displayed in a zoomed manner so that it can be accessible for the person with partial vision disability. If the person has hearing disability, he clicks on hearing disability and say sign in. So as you can see, we display subtitles to the user, which helps him access the content without having audio, without relying on the audio. We have also added a series of 7 classes that talk about use of Microsoft Word, which is a very basic utility, and is proven to be very handy for making day-to-day activities and is making many disabled people employable. Here are the 7 classes that you can see. So if you go back, there is a locomotor page as well, and if you go to that, it is also tailored to locomotor, the people with locomotor disabilities. So comparing the results. So we measured the accessibility score for different MOOC websites using Google Developer Tools project Lighthouse. The accessibility audit as part of Project Lighthouse runs a series of tests to determine the accessibility of a web page. As you can see, the sites like Udacity and Coursera have low scores such as 65 and 76%. YouTube has an accessibility score of 73%. For our project, we were able to get a score of 89%, which indicates a good accessibility score. edX is much ahead of the peers with a score of 95%. It is good to see that some MOOC platforms have recognized accessibility as a goal and have embedded accessibility as a goal in their design. We conducted a survey with participants who are impacted by disabilities. We were able to reach out to about 7 individuals with different disabilities. This is a small sample set, but it is very hard to find people with disability who are willing to take up a survey on a short notice. As the chart shows, the respondents had different types of disabilities: hearing, partial vision, locomotive, etc. About 43% of the respondents had a bachelor's degree or higher. 28% had a master's degree. So that means the sample set we have over here is significantly educated. The next question we asked was, do you think the online courses are in a format that is accessible to the people? To which about half of them said yes, and half of them responded negatively. So we also gave a demo of our project to the users, and we asked them if our project was accessible to people with hearing, partial vision, and locomotor disabilities. From the feedback, about 14.3% of the respondents said it was not completely accessible to them. 43% of the respondents said the course material was accessible, and the remaining were unsure. So we were able to make a small step in the direction of making MOOC content more accessible to the users with disabilities. During the course of the project, we also learned many challenges involved in building accessible courses for more courses. For more information on our work, refer to our paper, source, and websites here.